When you were growing up, did your parents ever tell you that if you sat too close to the TV that you would eventually go blind, or that your eyes would go bad, or that you would need glasses later on in life? Well, turns out that that's really not true, but there is a little bit of a grain of truth in today's day and age. See, when CRT TVs first came out, there was really so much that we didn't know. And after years of studies and all sorts of tests and things like that, there has been a conclusion. According to the American Academy of Ophthalmology, there is no truth in that statement, that sitting too close to a television doesn't actually deteriorate your eyes, that you aren't going to go blind, and then you won't need glasses over a long extended period of time. That's just something that as we grow up, we realize, oh, we probably shouldn't sit so close to the TV. But in today's day and age, there is something that we do have to worry about with televisions and screens and monitors all around us, and that is blue light. The problem isn't blue light per se. That's something that has been found in nature since the beginning of time. Technically, a third of all of the light on the light spectrum is considered blue light. So what's the big deal about it? When it comes to this debate, there are two sides of the spectrum. You have the side that says, well, blue light has been found in nature since the beginning of time. So I personally don't see a problem with having all of these screens and all of these monitors in front of me and exposing my eyes to the amount of blue light that is out there in today's day and age. That's just how it is, and that's life. And then you have the other side of the spectrum, which says, yes, blue light is something that is found in nature, and it's something that is all around us. But at the end of the day, there has never been so much exposure to blue light. So what's the big deal with blue light? I mean, it's something that is found naturally outside, so why does it even matter? Well, us as human beings, we see natural blue light coming from the sun, and subconsciously, naturally, our bodies think, okay, it's daytime. I should be awake. I should be productive. I should be doing things. What happens when we go ahead and see all that blue light right before bed on our screens or on monitors or televisions? Our bodies think the same thing. They think, oh, I should be awake, I should be productive. And that disrupts not only the natural levels of melatonin that are produced by our body, but also reduces the effectiveness of our sleep cycle. Now, this isn't all doom and gloom, because there are ways that you can go ahead and prevent the amount of exposure of blue light and still enjoy your Netflix TV shows or your anime binges. One of the easiest ways that you can do this, and probably the cheapest way that you can go ahead and do this, is move some sort of lamp, kind of like this IKEA lamp that I have right over here, and move it close to your television. What that does is that it increases the amount of ambient light that is within the room, and also negates the amount of blue light that is coming from that, and kind of helps alleviate the amount of blue light. You're still going to be exposed to it, but it's just not going to be as prominent as it would be if you didn't have that lamp in the first place. This is also something that is up for debate in terms of whether or not you should watch TV in a dark room. Another thing that you can do is that if you live close to a Best Buy, or if you're lucky and you live close to a Micro Center, you can go over there and find a wall of glasses, and those glasses, they have filters on them that filter out the blue light. This is something that PC gamers are becoming more and more aware of because they spend so much time in front of computers. Now, I'm not saying that you should go and slap those on if you want to go ahead and watch TV. I understand that that could deter from your viewing experience, at least at the beginning, but I've been wearing these glasses and they have blue light filters on them, and I have been pretty much editing and doing all sorts of work for not only the content creation for this channel, but also my day job as I create digital media for my company. There are much cooler ways of actually alleviating that blue light that is coming from your screen or monitor. And one of the easiest ways, if you're willing to spend a little bit of money, is actually getting an LED strip that matches whatever is being presented on screen, or just setting it to a warmer tone so that it goes ahead and sets up the ambient light that is within the room. Lytmi, the sponsor of this video, did go ahead and send an LED strip my way to go ahead and check that out. And it's part of a larger Lytmi Smart Kit or LED kit for your television experience. This is probably the cheapest way of doing it and having a nice experience, but they did also send the Fantasy 3, which I personally was very excited to check out because it goes ahead and brings this whole immersive experience, or at least that's what they say on the website, to the living room. Now, I've got to be honest with you. I was a bit hesitant at first because I have an LG G1 downstairs. And for those of you that don't know, that LG G1 can be mounted on the wall, and it can be a flush wall mount, which essentially that means that there's very little space, like very little space in between the television and the wall itself, like to the point to where like you can probably maybe fit a piece of paper, and that's about it. So I was worried that putting LED strips behind my TV would actually go ahead and work, and that I would have this awesome effect. I reached out to Lytmi. They told me that it was fine, but I was still hesitant. So I reached out to LG, and LG told me via DMs on Twitter that everything was fine and that I wouldn't really have anything to worry about. So I went ahead and installed it. The installation process was quick. Took me about 15 minutes to get everything up and running. And then I downloaded the application, the Lytmi app, to get everything synced up and running with the television itself. And with that app installation, I was finally able to get everything up and running. I ran it once and everything worked just great. But after that, that's when the problems started. See, on my Google Pixel 6 Pro, the application would launch and it would crash multiple times to the point to where it just couldn't work at all. And I was like, maybe this is an Android thing. Maybe I should try an iOS device, which I did. And at first, that first time running, everything was fine. And then the problems began. To the point where the application was crashing constantly. So I was like, well, I don't really have any other way of actually controlling this. So what am I going to try? And lo and behold, the one thing that could actually get this running was Chrome OS. Chrome OS of all things. I installed it on my Chromebook and got it running on there. Now, obviously, this is not an ideal situation. You don't want to be holding a Chromebook when you're watching television or to make sure that everything is synced up. But there had to have been some way to actually get this to work properly. So I reached out to my representative at Lytmi and I was like, hey, is this how it's supposed to go? Is this how things are supposed to run? And they told me, no. We need to hop onto a phone call and get this sorted out. So that we had a Google Meet phone call or video call, and we finally talked over everything. And they said, you know what, you should try the Tuya Smart app. Maybe that will go ahead and run better. I was like, okay, I tried it out. It works exactly the same as the Lytmi app, except it's just under different branding, I guess. I don't know, but I tried it and everything was working fine. But then the problems came back. See, the way that I was using the Fantasy 3 sync box was by connecting all of my devices to it. See, there's 4 HDMI 2.1 inputs that you can go ahead in there, and there's an HDMI 2.1 output that goes to your television. When I connected everything, including my Google TV, my PS5, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and eventually I would switch in and out my Steam Deck or my Asus ROG Ally when I was testing it, it definitely had issues switching from one input device to another. And there were some instances where I even had the application up and running and things just wouldn't switch. So I literally had to get up and go to the box itself, pull out the AC adapter and plug it back in so that it can reset and get everything back up and running. When it worked, it was beautiful. When I wanted to go ahead and switch from my Google TV to my PlayStation 5, all I had to do was turn on my PS5 and it would switch over automatically. It was great. And that's how it should be all the time. Unfortunately, that didn't happen all the time. And as a gamer myself, I would want to go ahead and have things running nice and smooth and very easy, a seamless experience, especially in the living room. I understand that sometimes on PC, even on my Steam Deck or Asus ROG Ally, I'm going to run into problems. That makes sense just because of compatibility and optimization. But when it comes to the living room, I would want things to run seamlessly with all of my devices that are there. Not to mention that there are some things that as a gamer myself are not included in this. It doesn't have VRR support. And for those of you that don't know, that's a variable refresh rate, which is something that I personally really like. This doesn't have auto low latency mode. It doesn't support ALLM. It doesn't support HDMI CEC, which is another thing that I personally really like. For those of you that don't know, HDMI CEC, that pretty much means that if you turn on the television, everything else will turn on with it. Your AV receiver, your audio and visual receiver. You can go ahead and turn on your PS5 at the same time, or your Xbox, or everything will turn on when you turn on your PS5 or your Xbox, including your TV and your HDMI CEC enabled AV receiver. I like having that ease of use, and this little box prevents that from actually happening. But above all else, there are two things that completely and totally ruined my experience with this box. The first thing was me testing my Google TV connector, the dongle, and I was watching YouTube. I was testing it out on one of my videos. I wanted to see how this works, and I plugged it in and I started watching and listened to this audio.
I've had this console/handheld for a year. The reason I got it was because my partner in crime over at the Resonate got his hands on OLED as a why not?
See what I mean? It's horrendous. How can this even be something that I could recommend when it has audio issues like that? On top of that, there are instances where the screen just goes black. In my time of playing Final Fantasy 16, there were instances where the screen would just go black. I don't understand why that was even a thing, but whether I was in the middle of a fight or a cinematic cutscene or whatever it may be, it would just go black for about 1 to 2 seconds and then it would come back. That completely breaks the immersion, which is part of the whole marketing campaign of this device and isn't something that I would, again, recommend to any gamer. But it's not all doom and gloom. See, this little tiny box does support 8K 60Hz displays, as well as 4K 120Hz displays, and 1080 120Hz, and so on and so forth. It also supports HDR10 as well as Dolby Vision. So let's go ahead and go over some of the likes and dislikes about all of this. Obviously, if you really wanted to go ahead and have a cinematic experience at home, yes, this actually 100% totally works. You can have a Netflix experience or just a cinematic experience overall, and it will help prevent blue light from really affecting your eyes over long extended periods of time of watching television. But if you are a gamer and you want to add this to your gaming setup, this is not something that I would recommend. In fact, I would probably stay away from it entirely. With all of the audio issues that I had, all of the visual issues with the video feed just coming in and out at its own leisure, and having problems switching from one HDMI feed to another one, I just don't think that this is something that I could recommend for anyone. And if you just have one thing that you're connecting to the TV and one thing that you're connecting to that box, maybe. But even then, you have to worry about the application and all the issues that are there and everything else that comes with it. It's just a box of worms that I personally just don't want to deal with. I want things that just work. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. And until next time, guys, I will see you on the next one. Peace.